We live in a world where everyone's trying to grab everyone's attention, so when you finally get someone's attention, it's so much harder to maintain it. And as video creators, our goal is to maintain attention. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to create your own effects from scratch inside Final Cut Pro. And then I'm also going to show you a drag and drop solution that ever since I bought it, I've used it in every single video. And I promise you, it will save you hours. So if fulfilled promises and creativity in filmmaking is something that you're into, consider subscribing. I'm not ready yet. So also I'm going to be making a how to create your own intro in Final Cut Pro using this pack that I'm going to talk about today after I show you how to create your own effects. So stay tuned for that and make sure you're knocking on that notification bell if you're subscribing to the channel to make sure you don't miss that. So full disclosure, this is not a free plugin pack. And while you can create all these effects yourself in Final Cut Pro, or at least get very close to them, I'm going to show you why you'll want to download this pack. Let me explain. That was your cue. The intro, come on. So I've been editing in Final Cut Pro and Premiere Pro for about 6 years now altogether, and I tell you what, there is nothing better than having this idea in your head and being able to just grab a preset that's already been created and just whack that on your footage, and it just fits perfectly with exactly what's in your head. So I'm going to start by showing you how I've used some of these animations in my recent videos, more situations and examples for you to use these effects in your videos, and then how to create the effects for yourself, which I'm going to be honest, is going to make you wish that you had $60 to go and buy the pack of 120 different effects. And then we're going to wrap it all up with a super quick tutorial on how to download and install them into Final Cut Pro. So phase one, in case you didn't believe me that I actually have been using this in all my previous videos, let's show you some. So in this piece of footage here, I use the glitch effect, the glitch in and the glitch out, and I use it as a almost like a transition between two clips. And then in the Halloween candy video, I was constantly bringing up new artifacts in the shot, so lots of different photos and images that I was referring to. And so I use loads of different effects to bring those onto the screen to make those pop for the viewer watching. So in this example, I use the spin in and then the spin out to get rid of the images off the screen. Here we've got the fade in and the fade out. And then in my most recent video, look at how these shots fade in and then fade out. And it doesn't give such a jarring effect to those being brought into the video. It's more of a relaxed way of introducing them into the shot as opposed to bam, now you're looking at something else. Bam, now you're looking at something else. Sorry, dog. Didn't mean to scare you. So how about some other uses for these? So I use these a lot in uses of titles, lower thirds, bringing up information. Like as you'll see later in this video, I'll use it for bringing on keyboard shortcuts onto the screen. I'll also use them for bringing on supplemental footage like we've just gone through. And then one other way is creating transitions with these. So you can add effects to the end of your shots, and then you can start to layer footage on top of each other or use adjustment layers. And by layering footages or pieces of footage with different effects, you can create different effects from one shot to the next. The same way I use the glitch effect, I just use a glitch out on the end of the first shot, a glitch in on the beginning of the next shot, and then slightly layered them on top of each other so that they became almost like a seamless transition, or rather a glitch transition. And of course, you can just use a multitude of these different effects like we're going to do when we create our own channel intro in Final Cut Pro. So now how about we get into Final Cut Pro and create some of these effects for ourselves. We're going to take inspiration from the fly horizontal fade in effect and see if we can just use the tools inside Final Cut Pro to create and emulate exactly the same effect. Now I will say that the tutorial is kind of long, there's a lot of parts to it, so if you find yourself getting bored and you're just like, just tell me where I can send my money off to and buy this pack, follow this bar along the top to the end and change the settings down here to 2x speed until that bar reaches the end. Then we'll get on to the next step. So let's start by taking a look at our timeline inside Final Cut Pro. We have a clip on here that's just me holding a smoke bomb, and let's say we want to add a supplemental image of me holding the smoke bomb, but it just happens that this is just an image and I want it to show up as a cool shot that I took. I want to call this out. So I'm going to grab the fly horizontal fade in effect from the oMotion animator, drag that onto my clip, and I'm going to play that from the beginning. And notice how it comes in from the right side to the left. I'm just going to invert this quickly. and show us how we want it to move in from the left to the right. Okay, what I'm going to do is copy this shot, remove the effect, and I'm going to use this base shot right here as a guide for what this is meant to look like. So if I press V on this top clip to disable it, I'm going to go back to where the animation for this shot stops, so it's about here. Then I'm going to set a marker pointer. Now I know that it's going to take this duration for the animation to complete. So now that we have that time set, I'm going to disable the shot with the instant animation added, and then enable my top clip. And all I'm doing here is just pressing V on the keyboard to enable and disable each shot. So I'm going to go to the beginning of my shot, and we notice how the shot comes from out the left side into position. So on my x-axis, I'm going to pull this out down here until it's just off screen, just about there. I'm going to hit a keyframe point. I'm going to move to my marker, and I'm going to center this back up to 0 or wherever you want this shot to show. Now if we play that back, we have a steady or a linear path of this shot moving back onto our clip. If we change over our clips here, so we're going to disable the one that we're working on and bring up the one with the instant animator, you'll notice how there's a speed ramp of the animation. It comes in quickly and then slows down. And we can do that inside Final Cut Pro by going back up to our shot, clicking the transform tool, by selecting our keyframe points just here. And you'll notice that we have these red toggles that show up. Now think of these toggles like the elasticity in an elastic band, or the tension inside of an elastic band. The more you pull away from a point, the more tension it's going to create. So to create a speed ramp of the item or the animation moving in fast, we're going to pull forward to the right. Depending on how you set up your animation, it depends on how you set this up. So because our animation is moving from the left to the right, we're going to stretch our toggle point over to the right. Now I'm going to make sure we don't go too far, because we also have a point on the right side that slows down how the rate at which the animation pulls in. So if we play that back, we see that we have a high rate of speed at the beginning, and then it slows down toward the end. So once you're happy with that Bezier effect, that speed transition, we're going to start to add in that fade effect. So we're going to go back to the beginning of our shot, and we're going to look at the opacity. We're going to drop the opacity all the way down, hit a keyframe point, go back over to our clip, and you see how I've set a marker point down to know where the rest of my shot is. You could also click the right arrow on the position keyframe point. That's going to take us to the end of our animation. And then we're going to bring back up the opacity. We're going to play this back through, and notice that now we have that speed ramp of the movement, and then we have the opacity fading in. Now the only trouble is here is that we can't change the rate at which that opacity increases over time or decreases over time. We just go based on 0 all the way up to 100, or it's just a linear speed. Now you could obviously keyframe lots of different points to set that up appropriately, but you just don't get the same effect. So you're done with the animation in of your shot. Now what happens if you want to get rid of that shot? You have to go to the end of your shot, and you've got to repeat the same process, just backwards. I mean, it's doable, perfectly doable, but let's see a side-by-side comparison of how long it took me to create this one versus how long it takes me to use one of the instant animators and drag that onto my clip. So I'm going to give you another random side tip as to why I love using this pack. Now I started at the beginning by saying that it's amazing when you have this idea and you can just drag and drop a preset or some kind of effect. But one of the awesome things as well is that when I'm trying to think of what effect should I use, sometimes I don't have to think. I just have to scroll through the 120 items that are there, and one of them just jumps out and screams at you, or you can try a couple of different ones without having to go through all the effort to create them yourself. So I say this pack is just a no-brainer. For me, it is a no-brainer. But there are going to be one of 4 things that happen for you, and they may just change over time. So the first one's that you're going to hate editing, because you're going to hate wanting to make these animations. The second is you're going to create a different look each time because you're doing this pretty roughly and you're never going to get the same effect. 3, you might just get lazy and you might just stop adding effects in altogether. And 4, you might just give in and buy the pack. Now on to the final step for downloading these puppies if you're interested. So from the link in the description, you'll be taken to a purchase page where you can test the pack for the free trial or directly purchase. You'll then need to install Effects Factory, which is essentially like an app store, like Apple's App Store, for all the products that they have. Then create a login or sign in, then click download trial. And if you just want the trial, you can stop here and you can get into Final Cut Pro and you'll see that they show up as a couple of trials, but they'll have watermarks and obviously not as many. Now, if you want the full pack, click the dollar amount and start entering your credit details. Mom, can I have a bit of money, please? I'll give it back, I promise. Final steps is to close and then reopen Final Cut Pro, and in the effects panel in the bottom right, you should see oMotion Instant Animator. And from there, you've got 120 new effects to go and play with. And from this point, all your effects come in and an out. So obviously you use one at the beginning of your shot and one at the end of your shot, and you simply just drag it from your effects panel onto your clip, and that's it. And then obviously the looped items are going to continuously loop throughout your clip. So I may have just cost you $60 in coming to this video, but you're the one that made the smart move to go and buy the pack and save yourself a ton of time. So link is in the description, and I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please drop a like, and if you want to see how to make a full intro for your YouTube channel, make sure you're hitting that notification bell for that video coming out next week. Now, if you're looking for more information on the channel, you're having a little bit of a binge session, check out this video down here on how to save like hundreds of gigs of space from your Final Cut Pro projects. There'll be a part 2 to that as well, that's available. And then also, if you're looking at speeding up your workflow, here's a video on the fastest SSDs available out there that you need to be investing in if you haven't already. Otherwise, thank you very much for watching. Please like, comment, share, subscribe, do what you gotta do. I'll see you guys in the next one.